Good afternoon and welcome to the April 12th Civil Service Commission meeting. May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine?
Here.
Commissioner Yakupian?
Here.
Commissioner Apkarian?
Here.
Chairman Okian?
Here.
For the record, Commissioner Gazarian is absent.
What's next?
Minutes for the meeting of March 8, 2017.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Can we have roll call?
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Yakupian?
I don't know if I was here for that meeting.
She was absent.
You were not.
Was it?
You were not here.
I was not.
Okay, so abstain?
Abstain.
Okay.
Commissioner Apkarian?
Yes.
Chairman Okian?
Yes, what's next?
Oral communications?
I have no cards. What's next?
Recruitment and examination report.
Mr. Doyle?
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a note and file item. This is a regular report showing our recruitment and examination status, all of our recruitments currently. As you can see, very busy time right now. There are 67 recruitment processes at various phases. A lot of this reflects, I think, a little jump in our turnover with the city. We've had a few key resignations and people leaving the city, as well as the month of December is usually big for retirements. So we had a few of those. So we're starting ending the fiscal year with a lot of recruitments to do. So as you can see from the report, we're diligently working on these. We've got a couple new staff members involved. Mr. Vardanian and Ms. Anid Navarro are assisting with recruitment, and so hopefully we'll get to a point where we're caught up. But anyway, this is a note and file item. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer those for you.
Okay, any questions? I see none. What's next?
Eligible list established.
Mr. Doyle?
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this too is a note and file item. This is a report showing the eligible lists that have been established since last month. Again, this is indicative of a fairly active recruitment load over the month. This past month, 12 lists were established, 10 of those promotional, 2 open. As you can see, particularly with the open recruitments, we have lots of people applying for the open ones. But ultimately, the far right column shows the number of people who make the list. So that's, again, indication of how challenging this process can be from start to finish. If you have questions on this report, I'd be happy to try and answer them. Otherwise, it is note and file.
Okay, any questions? I see none. What's next?
Class specification for approval, Assistant Director of Community Development.
Mr. Doyle?
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a specification for a new classification of Assistant Director of Community Development. This classification was approved by the City Council just last night. As you know, community development is one of our larger, more active departments right now. They handle a very broad set of very diverse and very important, very high-profile functions, including building and safety, neighborhood services, economic development, planning, urban design, mobility, and not to mention housing. Each of these functions or these divisions are typically headed up by a deputy director, except for building and safety, which is overseen by the building official. As you know, development activity is extremely busy right now. We recently experienced a resignation in one of our deputy directors, the one who oversaw urban design and mobility. So what we're hoping to do is to take that vacancy and reallocate it to an assistant director level position as opposed to a deputy director position. The hope would be that this classification would exercise broad oversight over perhaps multiple divisions of the section rather than just one, and also serve as essentially a number 2 to Mr. Lanzafame in running the department overall. For the time being, our hope would be to go out and recruit for this position and at least have this individual oversee the planning related functions and the urban design and the mobility, that end of it. But depending on the person hired, it could be various other of these divisions. So that's essentially what this is about. If you have questions, Mr. Lanzafame is here, and Mr. Chavez from my staff is here as well, who worked on this bulletin.
Yes.
I was just wondering, is that going to be an open or promotional, and like go outside or stay within the department?
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, Commissioner Devine, it would be the intent to have this as an open recruitment process.
Meaning they would go outside?
Correct. Meaning, well, people from within the department could apply, but it would be open as well to anyone in the, the general labor market who'd be interested.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I just have a quick comment. No, absolutely. We'll take it's more of a question as far as the difference between the assistant director and a deputy director. I've always missed that part.
Chairman Manukian, most departments are set up to have, obviously, a department head, and most of them will have an assistant director, and then if there's a need or a cause, depending on that organizational structure, the deputy would be underneath that. This is a large department with, as I said, 5 or 6
Isn't this the
major
largest
divisions.
department that we have? I mean, without a doubt?
No, we have police, fire, water and power are bigger, but
Okay.
this is, I believe, 150 employees.
But it's just many different divisions
Yes.
in comparison.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm mixing up. Okay. All right. Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Oh, I second.
Commissioner Devine,
Yes.
Commissioner Yagubian,
Yes.
Commissioner Abkarian,
Yes.
Chairman Manukian.
Yes, and it passes. Mr. Lanzafame, thank you very much for everything your department is doing. With everything and the limited resources, thank you very much. Can we have the next item, please?
Class specifications for approval, Water Quality Technician Series and Water Quality Specialist Series.
Mr. Doyle.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a revision of existing series relating to water quality. This is within our Water and Power Department. It's been a number of years since both of these series have been updated, and as you might expect, particularly in a field relating to the drinking water, potable water, there's been a lot of new regulations issued by the state governing not only how we do this, but the licensing and certification of those who work in and around these potable water systems. So this is, it's quite an extensive revision, and I do apologize for. It can sometimes be difficult to follow, but essentially what you see are some significant revisions to the job, things that have occurred over the years, and obviously the language that's being eliminated is indicated by cross out, and the new stuff is underlined. Again, most of the changes relate to. The big changes relate to the licensing. There's treatment. The state of California issues licensing for both treatment plant operators as well as distribution operators, and some of those had to be revised just to keep up with existing requirements. I think we did a little better job as far as providing more specifics on each of these two series, particularly relating to some of the physical requirements associated with the jobs. Really just making sure that this is up to date completely. Even though many of the requirements are being revised, we made sure that the incumbent employees in these jobs do meet all of the proposed minimum qualifications. So no one's being left behind or anything like that. So with that, if you have any questions, I have staff here to help answer them. Mr. Nersessian, Mr. Vardanian from my staff, as well as our Assistant General Manager for Water, Mike DeGhetto is here as well as his Water Quality Manager, James Sands. So.
Okay. Any questions?
I didn't understand half of the stuff, so I just say move to approve.
Actually, I have a question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Is the chain of custody maintenance system changing, or is that just a sort of? It just jumped out at me at the bottom of page 1. It says prepares daily written logs of monitoring and chain of custody records, and then the maintains is crossed off. I'm just kind of curious why.
Okay, I'll have either Mr. DeGhetto or Mr. Sands address that.
What page is that? Number
It's
16?
She's referring to the water quality technician series.
It says
The first
prepares
page
daily
at
written
the
logs
very-
of monitoring and chain of custody, and the maintenance or maintains is
Deleted or stricken out.
Chairman Uki and members of the commission, my name is Michael DeGhetto, Chief AGM for Water at Glendale Water and Power, and Commissioner Yakubian. We took off the maintains part because we're doing it electronically now instead of by paper.
Okay.
That was just really the update. So we enter that information in a tablet, and it goes into a database. It's called Water Tracks.
So you still maintain it, but you
We
just
still
physically don't
maintain
maintain
it, but we're not keeping paper files. That's why we took that off.
Well, my concern would be that if these documents at some point are needed and a chain of custody has to be established, the first question would be asked, who's responsible for maintaining these documents? So would that person then be able to say, yes, I am responsible, or I understand what you're saying, but there's still sort of a little bit of a disconnect between how the judiciary proceeds and how the IT world proceeds. So, I mean, that's really what's driving this question.
Okay, and we're required to maintain from that
Right.
perspective, almost in perpetuity, related to those documents. So we do maintain it.
So would this person also be responsible? I mean, would they be tasked for maintaining these documents for chain of custody purposes?
No, I think it would fall more to the water quality manager and to
Okay,
myself.
all right, fair enough. So it would be some other individual?
Yes.
Okay, so then that makes sense to delete it there.
Yes.
Is that a quick question? Doesn't concern the job specs, but looking at this, is there a service that Water and Power provides if a resident has an issue with, say, the quality of the water in their own residence, doesn't taste good or doesn't smell good? Does Water and Power have the ability to go out and do a test on that to see if it's something in the system or whether it's something within the residence itself?
you having some problems, Art?
Chairman Uki and Commissioner Devine, if someone has a complaint, they can definitely call in, and then we can look into what that issue is. Typically, we wouldn't go into someone's house, but we could, if it was a case like that, take a sample possibly and see what that was. But that's typically not a service we do. For the most part, our water quality, except for what they talk about, the lead and copper rule, ends at the meter. And so we don't normally go into individuals' residences and take samples.
Okay. So when you say you could take a sample, that sample would be the closest to the resident would be at the meter. You would not go in and actually take water out of a tap.
Maybe from the hose bib.
Hose bib,
Yeah.
okay.
Can we get Commissioner Gazarian's water turned off?
It depends. It really depends if he just paid his bill or.
Can we, do we have any other questions? No. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Yakubian?
Yes.
Commissioner Abkarian?
Yes.
Chairman Ukian?
Yes. What's next?
Job bulletin for approval. Principal Library Arts and Culture Administrator.
Mr. Doyle.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this item is a job bulletin for approval. As I've said many times, not all of the bulletins that we post have to come before Commission, but in one instance when they typically do is when we're taking a position that was previously recruited for on a promotional basis and we're making it an open recruitment, and that's the case here. So you're actually seeing the bulletin that we would intend to post, assuming the Commission approves this on an open basis. The intent would be to try to explore as many potential candidates as possible in the labor market. We do have candidates internally who may very well be interested, but it would be the expressed desires of the department and Ms. Cleary, who's the head of the library department, to do this as an open recruitment process. We have presented this bulletin and the open status to our management association and have received no objection or no concern from them. So therefore, we're asking that you approve this bulletin.
Any questions?
I have a question. Under experience, it says 5 years of increasingly responsible experience in professional library work including 3 years increasingly responsible management experience. I just don't understand what that means.
I don't either, so.
What does that mean? What is an increasingly responsible experience? I don't even know if that's proper English.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Abkarian, that's language you'll find a lot of these job descriptions, and it simply means that the level of responsibility is
On an upward
increasing.
trajectory?
On an upward trajectory, yes. That somebody may have come in at one level and they've gotten promoted, or they've worked to a different level where they're attaining more responsibility in that particular job, as opposed to maintaining laterally or taking less responsibilities. That's all that means. So.
Well, I mean, could we maybe in the next time just work it so we have a different language, maybe even expand it a little bit more?
Okay.
Because I really wouldn't understand what 5 years of increasingly responsible experience means.
Okay. Any other questions?
That I move to approve.
Second. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Yakubian?
Yes.
Commissioner Abkarian?
Yes.
Chairman Manoukian?
Yes. What's next?
Reports?
Mr. Doyle.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, one report we have is our monthly past due job performance evaluation. Commission has been very vigilant on this front, and obviously it's yielding some very good results. We're not seeing second notices anymore, and certainly third notices are non-existent. So anyway, you do have a couple departments with some first notices, but the majority are the no past due column. So again, if you have questions about that, I will again thank the Commission for their vigilance on this particular area.
I think we can thank Commissioner Abkarian for this. Oh, no. He's the one that instigated the review and the setting the new parameters, so it's working.
I appreciate that. Now, let me just, with that, thank you, first of all. It wasn't just me. All of us worked together. I just do have one question. How could January 1st, 2017 be 70 days overdue? And then February 16, 2017, I'm sorry, February 1st, 2017 also be 70 days. I'm looking at information services. It says January 1st, 2017 would be 101 days overdue, not 70. So they should have been second notice. So there's a problem with that one. How could that be 70 days and February 1st be 70 days?
Mr. Abkarian, that's a good catch, and I'll have to look that up. That might be a typo. It might it may be the 70-day is incorrect, or the it should be February 1st. Okay, that's.
So why don't you look that up and make sure it's not January 1st, please.
We'll do.
And then just give us a report next time if you don't mind.
Yeah, something that should have been due on January 1st would clearly have been in the second notice category. So that would be my best estimate, but I'll look that up. So
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, what's next?
Civil Service Commission staff comments.
Any comments? What's next?
Mr.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Doyle.
I have two staff comments. The first, I was reminded of this by the job bulletin on the principal library arts and culture position that the Glendale Central Library is going to be celebrating its grand reopening. As many of you know, it's been closed and under a significant remodel for a good better part of the last year, and I'm being told the remodel is going to be beautiful and very, very well done, and there's going to be a lot of activities towards the end of April. In fact, I believe you all got notices about the grand reopening gala on April 28th, as well as the official grand opening is going to be May 1st, a whole day full of really outstanding events. We do hope the Commission and everyone in the public attends and takes part in what should be a really outstanding new really community center for the Glendale community. And things have been done to better incorporate the downtown with the library. The entrance is going to be off on Harvard as opposed to Louise, more in tune with downtown, and they really did a really nice job on this. So we do hope, again, the commission and members of the community be a part of that. The second thing I wanted to bring up is that, and this has to do with some housekeeping within within Human Resources. We're currently engaged in an RFP process to select the outside legal counsel to the commission for when we have hearings. And it's, as you all know, it's a sort of an appropriate business practice to periodically go out and do an RFP to see what's available and give all the firms an opportunity to bid for that work. We do have an evaluation process, and I would like to solicit either one or two members of this commission, whoever's interested, to be part of that panel. Probably be a couple hours of your time to do that, but I want to make the commission part of that, and probably wouldn't be appropriate to make any decisions right here since this isn't agendized, but if any member of the commission is interested, if you could give me a call perhaps tomorrow and let me know, we'd certainly want to have your input on this, because it is essentially your representative, your counsel for those when we do have those hearings. So if you could, please let me know if you're interested in doing that. So.
Okay. I'll save it 10 cents and say I'm interested at this point.
I nominate. Any other comments or anything? Okay, what's next?
Closed session. Public employee appointment. Statement request. Payroll specialist 1.
Okay, Mr. Doyle.
Mr. Chair, at this point, we'll. I'm sorry.
I think you were going to say we're going to adjourn into closed session. We will be reporting out, but not on camera.